Hello, I'm Lowell Speers. Glad to be with you today. We're going to paint Rose of Sharon. Let me show you my palette here. Let's get right into this program. Titanium white soft, always with the flowers. I got yellow ochre. I may add some other colors here, but right now I got this lined up. Notice a couple of base mixtures here, 3 of them in fact. Leaf and stem, 2 parts cad yellow, 1 part of this background base. And the mauve base, 3 soft white, 1 alizarin, 1 part of this also. And this is the background base, which we'll be doing a complete background with. 4 Van Dyke brown, 3 alizarin crimson, and 1 phthalo green. And let me show you how I mix that color up. I got it all on the knife here except 1 part. Notice all the parts, they're equal there because it says 1 part. If I had a half, I would have just visually cut that part in half. But this is how you do it. You just squeeze out the part, line it up there, and then just cut it off. Now they're all equal. And of course I just stick that on a palette and mix it up real well, and that's it. Mix the other parts just like that. Of course when you do that, it says 1 part here, you're going to have a hard time doing that, so what you would do is you would take your knife, for the 1 part like here, you would take your knife and just visually match that then, see? Alright. Okay, let's go right and do our background first. This is a blending brush, still got magic white on. I was putting magic white on there. I got it on. I'm going to show you a little test here. I'll just touch the canvas here, a light touch. Now I want you to look at that and see the fingerprints. The grooves aren't filled, and that's an ideal load or an application of magic white. Okay, soft white here. Let's pull some of it down here. I'm going to make the mix right down here. Go right into the background base with the big brush. Now to get the streaks out, I'm going to go back and forth with X's right here. That way when I go on the canvas, you won't have to fight with the X's. In case you want to try making it kind of a blue-black, this is really an ideal color for making a black color. It has a little tinge of bluish in it, kind of a blue-gray. And then we're going to start here let's start on the right-hand side and go right up and down the canvas. I loaded quite a bit of paint on the brush. And I'm going to slowly work over to the center. It's picking up magic white, and it's going to get a little bit lighter and lighter as I go along. But I'm trying to make a nice transition of color here as I work towards the center. So we want darker outside edges, a little bit lighter in the middle. And a few streaks is all right. Now let's repeat the same thing for the other side. That's what's really nice about magic white. It allows you to blend the colors as you go. Slowly, work slowly as you work towards the center. And less pressure. You probably can tell by the sound I'm making less harder, the pressure's off as I reach the center there. Now if yours wasn't dark enough, you could repeat and do that step again. Well, I'll just do that just to show you. Say I want it a little bit darker. I just reload the brush. Now it's not going to kill the magic white. The color's on there. However, it'll still blend and slowly work to the center. Let's say, for instance, that you got your dark over in the center too far. Then, in that case, to make it out, you want to blend from light to dark. I would load the light color in the brush and gradually work over towards the dark. And this way, also, if you needed that. Okay, for the flowers, I'm going to go ahead and back into the dark again, and I'm going to put 3 bigger flowers here, and I'm just going to put the dark in about where the flowers would be. 1 bigger one right there, and 1 right up in here, and I'm going to tip 1 down here a little bit. Let's put it right here. So the same color, same brush. And that's just background color for the flower. Okay, now we're going to do a little bit of foliage here. Now I'll show you another little trick you haven't seen before. If you notice how I pull the paint down, look how I flattened out the paint here with my knife, and I'll show you how I do that. I just go into the paint and flatten it out. And we're going to take the hake brush, and I'll show you how to make some foliage with it. We're going to use the end of the brush. Now I'm going to dip it in the Magic White, maybe about 1/8 of an inch. Can you see that? About 1/8 of an inch. Now, hold the brush right over top of the color. Now I'm going to mix it into this mauve mixture that I got here, just tapping it in. And you can look at the end of the brush. Notice it has nice openings. It's a good way to make foliage. You can make trees this way too. But it takes a light touch and makes nice bushes. Let's try it and see what happens. So I'm just barely going to touch it. See the nice foliage? Don't push too hard, it'll just mush it all together. And let's do a little bit of that all the way around here. See, I'm just barely touching it. That's the key to make bushes. Even with the foliage brush, a light touch is the best. I may not have to go back into Magic White. Let's see. But don't smash it clear down into your color. And another thing is don't push it into the same spot twice, because pretty soon it's going to smash it out and you won't have anything. I'm going to go into it again and tap it right in. And let's put some down here. Also a little over here. Now, if you say, what's the name of this stuff? Who cares what the name of it is? It's just foliage and filler. And our next thing we're going to do is we're going to add some leaves. And we can kind of balance our painting a little bit with that. Let's take a liner brush first of all, and we're going to thin some of this leaf and stem base mixture here. We're going to use it dark to begin with. Thin it down to where it'll almost run on your palette. And load it by laying it down and twisting it a little bit. All right. Okay, let's start putting some lines in here. Some of these will be stems, some of them will be grass. And we'll take, on some of these we'll use them as where we can put leaves on them. This arrangement is looking at you like that. We're not going to show any major stems, they're down behind. So we'll go around the arrangement a little bit like this. And let's add a few leaves onto that. Okay, we got a large leaf brush. It's a sable brush. We're going to put in some bigger leaves to begin with. Large leaf brush, sable brush. Load the brush nice and smooth and on both sides. Okay, let's go right up here. And start at the tip of the leaf. And with lots of overlapping strokes, go to the other side. Let me lay this down here. Start at the tip again, overlap the strokes. Maybe we leave that one so it's tipped on edge. If you want a darker version of that, that means all you'd have to do is take a little more of your background base, add to the green, and that'll make it darker. Maybe I want some darker ones over on this side. And finally I pull that line through there. Actually, I'm just removing the paint to create that center vein in there. Okay, another group of bigger leaves right up here. And don't worry what's underneath there. You paint right on top of it. This is another type of a leaf. It's a pull and twist stroke. In other words, you start out here, you lean it down from the round a little bit, and you also lean it towards the stem, flatten it out, and just twist, see? Let's do a few of them. That's half of it. If you wanted to close it up like I've done it, none of them I didn't close up there, but I'm going to close this, or open it up, I mean. You'd line the brush at the tip and then just pull it over. Now we're not going to put all the leaves in yet. We'll paint some of them, then we'll paint the flower, then we'll finish it up finally with more leaves. Yeah, maybe a couple little ones in here. Right up at the top up there, let's add a couple. Now you can make small ones with this too. You just barely touch the corner of the brush. Just don't push as hard. If you have a problem doing that, use the small leaf brush and get the same effect. Okay, on the flower now. If you got any hard lines around here, around this edge, I have another hake brush here. You can soften these edges a little bit, just kind of blur them into the background. And then we're going to take a petal brush. We're going to do the flower with a petal brush. And on it, we're going to take soft white. I normally mix most of my colors with the brush after I make my base mixtures, but on the palette I mainly use the brush. And I'll use a little bit of yellow ochre. So let's not use pure white, but load it nice and smooth. Okay, let's start right here on this one here. You pick out a center. We're going to be looking at these two flowers here pretty much, and we're going to start right out here to the tip. And we're going to pull it like this, and we're going to curve it right at the end. Let's get the shape in a little bit. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Before we connect them together, let's curve it so it curves down like that. And then let's just fill it in. Soft white and a little touch of yellow ochre in that. Let some of that other color pull through there. That's fine. Okay. Now this has got 5 petals, so let's curve this around like this. Now there's a little opening right there. It shows right in this area there. And let's do the same thing here. A little curve at the end, right there at the end. That way we can make sure we make that little opening that's there. And then fill in the blanks. So you can overlap the leaf a little bit and then put the opening in, see? Curve it. So we got 3 in here. Let's make a little bigger one. Always head it to the center though. And we'll fill this in the center again. If that dark starts to come through, you can reload and go over it again. Okay, we got one more here. Let's make that a little bit longer. direct the strokes towards the center of the flower. Okay, let's go up here and do another one. I got the color in now, I'll curve it. A little more yellow ochre in that. You can also paint over top of that green there. Same thing over and over again here. Sometimes you're not going to see these little openings, but that's all right. If the petal isn't overlapping the other one, you wouldn't see it. Now this is a little bigger than the actual flower would be in real life. Now I suppose you wonder how I'm going to paint that underneath that. Well, I won't. I'll paint it over top of it. Now if you wanted the other flower back in front, go right back over top of it. Maybe this one I'll leave over top of the other one. And this one we got down here. Let's just tip it on the edge where we're seeing like about 3 of the petals. So we'll just start here and head the stroke back. Maybe we'll see part of the 4th one, maybe. This one's tipped clear over. Maybe, yeah, let's just show just a little part of that one. Now if you want to punch up a couple petals, you can. I'm going to put just a little more tip on some of these. In other words, they have a little bit sharper tip. This one's pretty big, but and this one's pretty small. Watch what I'll do is I'll make this one bigger. Now I'll put this petal back in there again. So I'm just putting a little more tip on them. Okay, we got a lot of area here that's open stuff. Let's add some more leaves. I'm going to go ahead and add a little more base, our background base to our green mixture. Make it just a little bit darker. And let's work in some bigger leaves in here. Don't be afraid to paint right on top of something either. Maybe you paint over an area you don't like. Again, I just added more background base. To my leaf base there. And let's curve one around here. Maybe some little leaves coming out of there would look good. Okay, right up here, let's finish this area up here by putting a few more leaves down in there. Make these come from somewhere. And we're about ready to do a couple of a center. First of all, though, let's add a few more little lines. I can make this color a little lighter by adding yellow ochre and a little soft white to it. We don't want it too light because we've got a fairly light background. We want some contrast. So just making it a little lighter by adding yellow ochre and white. And I'm going to pull a few more lines out here. Sometimes you need to step back to see what you really need here. Some of these are going to just be loose grass here. Okay, let's go to our center, and I'm going to dip it right in my brush into magic white. Liner brush with a little touch of yellow ochre in it. Now if you're kind of looking right at this flower, this stamen's not going to be very long, so let's just start right here and put it about like that. And this one here, to make it more interesting, let's head it up that way just a little bit. That one we're not going to see. And then we're going to put some little dots on there. Same color, just magic white. Maybe make it just a little more yellow, a little more yellow ochre to it. And now watch, I'm going to take this brush and just tap it right straight in. This is one way to do it. Put some little pollen on there. Maybe I'll make it a little bit lighter, just a little more magic white. And the same way on this one up here. Now we're going to add some little small leaves out there on some of this grass that we got out here. And again, we'll just make them smaller. Go into our leaf color again. And I'm going to make it darker again, just by adding a little base to it again. On some of this grass that we got here, let's make a few small ones. We could also pull the mauve color out. Let's do some of that. Let's pull some of the mauve color out. This is a good color for mauve if you want to mix mauve up. We can pull it out. That'll help tie the painting together just a little bit more. Let's go out over here. Maybe up here a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna add a couple of little things here. I'm gonna put a couple of lines coming out of here and over here. I'm gonna take a filbert brush now and get a little more soft white here. Soft white and a little bit of yellow ochre. Let's make it just a little bit yellower than we did on that for that center. And let's put some little yellow flowers. I'm going to tie this center color in there. Just some little wildflowers here. We'll sprinkle them around a little bit. On the edge, you'd just maybe see 3 edges like that, or 3 petals. And we just can't do one over there, one group. We got to do another cluster. So let's go over here and kind of balance it by putting a few over here. Maybe all these we're going to see them on the edge rather than looking at you. Maybe just a little sprinkle of them right up here. No detail, just suggestions of little flowers. And in the center of them, I'm going to take a little thinner on my end of my brush. I'm going to go into some of my background base color here. And on a couple of these, I'm just going to tap in some little darks for some centers there. So just a little bit thinner on the brush, or on the end of the brush. Maybe you can see one or two up there. And a couple little more lines, and I think we're going to wrap this little project up. So I think, without further delay, I hope you had a great time watching me do the Rose of Sharon. I had a super time showing it to you. So until the next program, thank you very much, and happy painting.